So let me ask you something. Hmm. You ever think that everything that you heard is something wrong with it? Like, seriously? Like, you only never questioned anything growing up? Because, boy, I used to question a lot of things. It's like, why again? Who again? What again? Like, it just never made any sense to me. And so, as a kid, I used to question everything, and my mother would be like, because I told you so. Because that's what you're supposed to do. Because that's what I want you to do. It was never, to me, any logic behind what she was asking of me. Because I always felt like there had to be something wrong. Now, why my hair doing this? You see this, right? I'm trying to talk to you, but my hair is distracting me. Look at this. Look at this. I don't even know what's happening here. Like this thing does whatever it wants to do. Like seriously, it's so aggravating. So I'm just gonna allow it to do what it wants to do so it doesn't distract us, right? But anyway, I was saying something ain't right, guys. Something is not right. And I know a lot of y'all, this ain't gonna resonate, but maybe not half of y'all. It just means that you so deep in sleep you ain't even to this point yet. I'm talking to the people that are now looking, paying attention, and questioning stuff and thinking outside the box. In other words, you're in a box and you're now opening it up to try to look around and see what's out there. And you have questions. Everything they said was a lie. And I ain't gonna lie, it was a shocker to me. And I was like, oh my God, I've been going all these years and not knowing that thing, like not knowing who I am, especially, was the hardest thing for me. When I did ayahuasca, I couldn't even pronounce the word. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know how to find it. I didn't know what was going on or who to go to. There's so many misconceptions out there about ayahuasca. A lot of it. I did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos. And then I ran across a Reddit post of a young lady that had went and she did a lot of the research and the legwork. And I thought, well, I'm gonna just piggyback off of her. this this research was rough. But she did a lot of research, and so I piggybacked off of her, and she found this little town. But I'm gonna tell you, nothing is a coincidence because doing my own research, I had found a couple of places, but they were not in Peru. They were in Colombia. I even tried to look at some in the US. And when she was talking about it in her Reddit post, I thought, oh my gosh, why am I going to a middleman? Let me go straight to the jungle where ayahuasca started. Let me go over there. I was very skeptic about it. I knew my husband was never gonna fall for it because, he don't like me too far away from him. So I had to sit him down and I was like, babe, I think I need to go to Peru to do ayahuasca. And he's like, do you even know what that is? And I was like, no, not really, but I've been doing a little bit of research, and I found that I think they're guiding me to go there. Now, keep in mind, I am the CEO of a company and I've never left said company alone, not even for a week. Now I'm going and I'm going to be gone for a month. I'm not going to have any communication, no phone or anything. And I know the first thing he's thinking is, I can't do this without you. And I'm like, don't worry, you'll be fine. I think the universe, the source God is going to make a way and they're going to open some doors. And he's like, you know what, I'm going with you. And I'm like, oh my God, now he wants to go with me. And I'm like, okay, fine. Now, it made me feel a little better. Don't get me wrong. It made me feel a little better to have him there. But then something happened the next day. He woke up and he said, babe, I think you got to go by yourself. And I'm like, yeah. Now, was that a coincidence? No, it was not a coincidence because the reality of that was when God gave that to me, spirit, universe, whatever you identify it with, I identify God as the universe. I identify God as my ancestors. I identify God as source. So whatever you identify him with, that's what he is to you. And that's gonna come in another story because I'm gonna break that down. This is how I identify God. But anyway, it was not a coincidence. So I had said, if you guys, if you wanted me to go by myself, which I was afraid to do, I would do it. But if my husband wanted to go, then I would allow him to go as well because I want whatever is best for me, right? I don't want to step outside the perimeters of being covered. I want to do what God wants me to do, what the universe and my ancestors are leading me to do. That's what I want to do. So when I had prayed about it and meditated on it, and he woke up the next day and he confirmed it, I was like, I know. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time I've ever actually been anywhere by myself since I was 18. I had my daughter when I was 18, and ever since then, I've always had someone with me traveling back and forth, whether it was her or whoever else. I've never been anywhere by myself. This would have been the first time. And yes, I was extremely nervous. I was afraid. I was going to a country, one, that was outside of the US, outside of my comfort zone. Two, nobody really spoke any type of English. And so I had to now struggle with the English Spanish barrier. And three, I did not know what to expect, but I do know it was going to a jungle and what was going to be in that jungle. That was the most terrifying of all because I know the jungles of Peru are very much famous to have their anacondas, right? And I'm scared of grass snakes. I ain't even gonna lie, grass snakes scare me. So here I am talking to the spirit of ayahuasca, not knowing anything about her, and she and I have been talking. Now here's the weird part, because now you're thinking, who's ayahuasca? Ayahuasca is actually, I call her Mother Ayahuasca because she is the spirit that leads you to the jungle, that leads you to experience ayahuasca. It is for healing. So, it does a lot of different type of healings. And I know for one thing, I did need healing at the time. I had been through a very traumatic experience in my life growing up. And even into my adulthood, I found myself in situations that traumatized me. I made a lot of bad choices in my life and I ended up in terrible situations, circumstances. I don't blame anybody else but myself, but there was a time that I used to blame family, especially my mom. I used to blame my mom a lot for a lot of mishaps that happened in my life because I felt like as a parent, we're here to protect our children in every way possible. But, as I went through the healing process, I realized that, you know what, I'm going to take accountability for myself and my own actions as an adult child. And I rectified that situation. So I no longer blame my mother for any of those things that happened. I blame myself. Um, so I was talking to my husband and getting prepared for it. There were a whole list of things that I needed to do. There were a whole lot of things I had to cut out. One of them was sugar. I mean, there's a couple of them, like sugar, oil, salt, um, a lot of finer things that make your food taste really good. Yeah, that stuff. But on top of that, I had to stop sex. Okay. Yeah, sexual intercourse with my husband. And you were supposed to do that for like 60 days prior. I was struggling. I really was struggling. And so I did stop 30 days prior. And honestly, I felt like that rule wasn't really for me. And the reason why is because I felt like my husband and I relationship, it's different. People wouldn't understand it, right? So we are purely give our bodies to each other and no other source. And I know there's a lot of people out there that probably do that. Um, And if you're one of those persons, then I would say, hey, take the shortcut. If you are not one of those persons, or you're someone that is not sure of what your partner is doing, or even you, I would say don't take that route. And the reason why is because when you have sex with someone or intercourse with someone, you pick up their energy, you pick up their spirits. You pick that up. And if they're sleeping with other people, they pick those other spirits up, and so on and so forth. And now you're having sex with not just that one person, but probably 20 or 15 of them. I don't know. I ain't in your business. I just trying to tell y'all and clarify what I saying when I said what I said. Right? Okay. So anyway, getting ready to go to ayahuasca still. My husband laughed at me the entire time because I could not even pronounce the word ayahuasca. I always say aya something, whatever. I get to Peru. I mean, everything happened so quickly. Everything happened so smoothly. It's like this was really meant to be. And that's another thing. Anytime something's supposed to be in your life, it's going to happen like quickly. It's going to happen smoothly. You don't ever have to second guess it. Like it just comes naturally a flow. But anyway, I got down there, and when they asked me, of course, I had an interpreter. My husband sent me with an interpreter on my iPad anyway. But anyway, when they asked me why I was there, I had no idea why I was there. I just said I heard the calling of ayahuasca, and she wanted me to come here. She found you guys. I hopped on the plane and came over. Whatever happens from this point on, I have no idea. I'm not even sure if I'm prepared for it, but I'm just being obedient to the spirit that asked me to come here. And that lady looked at me and she was like, okay, okay. And directed me to my hut. Now, let me tell you, that experience for me was, I wouldn't say so much of an eye opener because I grew up in the Bahamas, right? I grew up going to my grandmother's house and having an outside toilet and the whole 9 yards, going to tote water and all that other stuff. But that was years ago, okay? That was a long time ago. I was a little girl. Now I'm a grown woman, and here I am in the jungles of Peru having to do the same thing. I am now showering outside when there is water to shower, and it ain't hot water, honey. It's ice cold. And rinse my clothes out after they've been washed. Thank God they had a washing machine. Even if they didn't, I know how to scrub them. I know how to squash them. I just call them squash them on your hand and hang them on the line. But once they wash in the washing machine, you go and hang them out on the line. But the most incredible thing, because I went there afraid of snakes, I went there afraid of the dark, I went there afraid of almost everything. I had fears like out the door. I was scared of everything. But being there, I found like the one thing I did find was healing. I found healing. I found forgiveness there. I found taking Mother Ayahuasca was just an incredible journey for me. And not to mention that afterwards, I found out she was an anaconda. So, listen here. When I tell you, the day I found out that Mother Ayahuasca was a snake, an anaconda, not just any snake, she's the biggest snake that there is, the anaconda in the jungle. And then I started questioning, what am I drinking here? Because you're drinking this tree bark, but it's mixed with something else. I don't know what that something else is. So I'm drinking it, and I could feel it slithering down my throat. Even before I knew it was an anaconda, I just thought that was kind of weird, But she's talking to me at the same time and taking me in this trance, making me or having me to bring up a lot of the past hurt, a lot of the past disappointments. I was told to stay in my taboo, my room, and not to socialize until 12 midday. And it wasn't anyone around the camp or in charge of it that was telling me this. It was the spirit of ayahuasca. Excuse me. It was the spirit of ayahuasca telling me, this is what you're going to do, Karen. if you want this experience to be gentle. I think a lot of people just don't tap into that energy. They don't tap in on the inside. They follow what their natural eyes see and not what their spiritual eyes hear. I'm sorry, I did that all wrong. They tap into what their natural eyes can see and not what your spiritual ear can hear. And I try to tap into both. So I had met some other people there and they were just drinking and vomiting and no transformation was happening. For me, I wanted this to work. I wanted to get the healing that I came for. I knew what I came for. I traveled very far to get it and there was no way I was leaving Peru without it. So I pretty much tapped in big time. Now, when I was little, I could always hear spirits, right? And normally when the spirit presence is around me, I get my hair stands up on my arm and it lets me know that I'm in the presence of spirits. So to listen in case they want to give a message to someone. And so that's what I do. But in this case, it came on so strong. Like I can hear her louder. I can understand what it was being said to me. And so I obeyed and I felt kind of crazy in the beginning doing it and hearing it so loud, but it protected me. I had the most magnificent experience in Peru because one, I was paying attention, and two, I was obedient to source, the universe, to my ancestors, to Mother Ayahuasca and Mama Rosa, who's another plant. And when I questioned it myself, I said to myself, Karen, but God made everything on earth and everything is living and breathing, whether you can understand them or not. They are alive. And I believe that spirits can come through anything. And that's why it's important to be grounded. But anyway, I'm getting off the topic. Back to in Peru, I was doing all of these things. I was grounding myself. I was staying out in nature. I was walking around bare feet. I wanted to connect to the spirit desperately because that's what I came for. I needed revelation. I needed healing. And so I did that. And sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zone in order to grasp that thing or get that thing that you need. So everything is happening now and falling into place now that I've gotten my healing and my coaching. What I want to do is open up doors for other women that may be in the same situation I was in. That years and years of buried trauma that you might have went through, growing up and into adulthood is still there. If you have not forgiven yourself, if you have not forgiven the people that hurt you, you still have it in there. And sometimes we say, oh, it's not bothering me. I don't care about that. You're lying to yourself. And I know that you're lying to yourself because I lied to myself too. I said, none of that mattered. I forgive everybody. And I'm moving on with my life. I don't want to think about it. But the reality of it was, I had not forgiven anybody. I had not forgotten about all the trauma that happened. I hadn't forgotten about the rape. I hadn't forgotten about the disappointments, the cheating, the lying, the abuse mentally and physically. I had not forgotten about any of that trauma. All I did was buried it deep underneath my soul, under my spirit. So it was carrying it. I was carrying it like a bag of weight. And it affected me in my everyday life, and I didn't even realize it. It affected my marriage. It affected the way I was a mother to my children. It made me aggressive. It made me just almost like I'm losing my mind. I was in total survival mode. This is what that kind of trauma does to you. It puts you in survival mode, and everybody is a victim. Everybody. Everyone you cross paths with is going to be a victim to you. You know what I mean? Because you're going to see everybody as the enemy because you're in survival mode. And so I had to go through that healing, get out of survival mode, and say to myself, Karen, you have to forgive yourself for everything that has happened. It was not your fault. Even though I took the responsibility of it, because we're all responsible for ourselves, right? At the end of the day, I didn't know a lot. I was very naive. I was very foolish even. And I made decisions based on what I thought might have been best for me at the time and best for my kiddies. And you might be going through that right now. You might be going through that same situation, same scenario that I've gone through. And I want you to know that there is hope, that there is a future for you, that God hasn't given up on you. He has not even forgotten about you. And all you black sheeps out there, black sheep of the family that everyone always blaming crap for, there's hope for you too. I'm one of those persons. And let me tell you, I made it out. And you can make it out too. There is a future you out there that is free, that has been healed, that is drama free and living in peace. Trust me. I was where you're at, and this is my future self. And now I'm looking past this because I've gotten to this point, and I'm looking over there at my future self still, and I love what I'm seeing. I love it. But in order for you to get there, you have to get out of your own head. You have to get out of your own way. We always are in our own way. You have to get out of it. And in order to get out of it, think outside the box. God gave you a brain, honey. Use it. Use that brain. Start thinking about how you're going to get out of there. Make a plan. Change your thought process. Maybe everything that they've been telling you all these years were lies. I'm just realizing that now. They told me I was ugly. They told me my lips were too big. They were sausage lips. They told me I was too black like Tar Baby. They told me all that stuff. They said, Karen, you'll never be anybody. You'll never be anything. You'll always be a failure. They told me that. I had 3 kids by 3 different men, and they used to call me a whore. Total whore. And I wasn't. I wasn't a whore. I just ended up in terrible situations, and I made terrible choices, and I had to live with my consequences, because that's what we all have to do in life, right? We live with our consequences. We live with our decisions, our choices that we make. You're not a whore. I don't care if you have 5, 10 children by 10 different men. You're not that. You just made some terrible mistakes. Now, it's time to learn from those mistakes. It's time to pick yourself up off the floor. Stop being in survival mode. Stop being a victim. And look in the mirror and tell me, who do you see? Because when I used to look in the mirror, I didn't see who the person that you're looking at right now. I didn't see her. I saw everything that everyone else said I was. I didn't see who Karen was, because Karen didn't know who she was. I know who I am now. And I want to get you here so you can know who you are, so you can know what your purpose is, so you don't have to believe what they're telling you, because it's all fake. It's all a lie. You are not that person. You are the Empress Lioness. You are an empress. That's the first and foremost. The lioness, do you see that lioness up there next to her king? You see how smooth and cool and calm she is? She looks like she can be someone's pet, doesn't she? She looks like that, but she's fierce. She's the hunter. Yeah. Everyone thinks he's the hunter. He's not. He's the protector. That chick right there, she's the hunter. She's not hunted. She hunts. So which one are you going to be? You're going to be the hunter? Or do you want to be the one that's hunted? You want to be prey, or you want to be the hunter? See, because if you're in a victim mode, you're prey. Everyone's going to prey on you. You're going to be tricked and tossed and lied to and deceived. All of that stuff's going to happen to you. You're going to be a victim. Or are you going to pick yourself up and look yourself in the mirror and say, I am the lioness. And let me hear you roar. Roar! See, y'all didn't expect that, right? Yeah. You thought I was going to have a little cute roar, huh? That's what I did. Because that's who I am. And if you bring the lioness out of me, you will get that. But if she's not, then you will get the empress. And right now, I am the empress. But that is my lioness. And you don't want to mess with her. So until next time, thank you for watching.